Welcome to Property Nomads podcast. Welcome to episode 386. Another interest rate increase. Inflation remains high, and yet the masses are still surprised. In this episode, we will be going through what the recent Bank of England rate increase means, why the government's still surprised about everything, and why are the masses still surprised about what is going on. A lot of things that we've already mentioned before, I'll be honest, but it's important to get the message across because there are a multitude of reasons why things are the way they are. And as usual, there are ways in order to protect yourself from what's happening. But before we get started with today's episode, just like to let you know that our friends at Progressive Property are doing a serviced accommodation discovery day on Tuesday, the 11th of July, 2023. The event is in Peterborough. It runs between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. It's completely free, and you will be learning how to get started in serviced accommodation. With the property market the way it is, people are looking to increase their cash flow, either buying new property or using their existing property, and serviced accommodation is a fantastic way to do that, whether you're looking at staycations here in the UK or serving contractors. A bit like I do when I go up and down the country, I stay in serviced accommodation. So that is a serviced accommodation discovery day. It's Tuesday, the 11th of July, between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m, completely free. The link to attend that event is in the show notes, so please do go and find it in the show notes if you're on YouTube, just in the box below. So the Bank of England increased their base rate to 0.5 up to 5%. So what does this mean? Well, this means that inflation data is not good. The inflation data came back and it was 8.7% for the month of May. And I think people are now starting to realize that inflation is not going to go away anytime soon. What amazes me and what amazes us here at Property Nomads is that people are still surprised by this. Because of everything else that's going on, it's not going to go away anytime soon. Why? Because you have to look at the supply side of economics and realize that actually what the government needs to do is not a case of just flicking their finger and it's job done. It takes years and years and years of the right approach to things in order to make things a lot easier. What do I mean by that? Well, let's look at energy, for example. So if we look at energy bills will last 12 to 18 months, maybe 2 years, very high. Why? Because the government decided to ban Russian oil. Why? Because the UK is in bed with NATO. NATO is pushing against Russia. Russia invades Ukraine, despite being very clear of NATO that it would do that if NATO kept expanding. The West throws the toys out the pram. Russian oil gets banned, so you've got to find oil from other sources. That's not good. That restricts supply, increases the price. That's example number one. Example number two, we're on this hypocritical climate change path as well. Oh, gas is bad, oil is bad, blah, blah, blah. We must have wind, we must have solar. Right, yeah, okay. Yeah, well, let's look into that. It doesn't happen overnight. Unfortunately, we're getting it rammed down our throats. We're getting force-fed this palaver. And as a result of that, the government again, and to be fair, most people are taking the wrong approach. So in order to get your baseload energy, you need nuclear. You need nuclear, but are we building nuclear plants? Well, I mean, we're trying to, but that's met with eco-warrior resistance and just stop oil, but we don't want nuclear either. Will give us a solution then. On top of that eco path, which doesn't help, is all these electric vehicles and whatnot. They're actually more polluting for the environment. Once you've made them, got all the components together, and the fact that they're running off electricity, which is fossil fuel powered. So, you know, this stuff is quite fascinating. I'm going to do an episode actually on EVs moving forward. But the whole hypocrisy is unbelievable, to be brutally honest with you. Point being that because we're getting that rammed down our throats, Oil price has gone up. Oil is used for, I mean, this was a couple of years ago, oil price shot through the roof. It's come back down now, to be fair. But what happens there? So, the price of your diesel would have gone up substantially, although it's coming back down. Petrol up, down. Same with banning all these nitrates and phosphates from Russia. Again, that means the farmers have had to really struggle to generate food at a sensible price. So their cost of production has gone up. That means there's only so much a business can do before it passes that cost on to customer. Hence why we're seeing food inflation, transportation costs, because oil, you're starting to get the gist of this. A lot of it is actually down to government. It really, really is. It doesn't help that Rishi Sunak is a World Economic Forum puppet. So he's probably chilling out of his mate Klaus as well, and feeding his ideas back to our society. It's really not a good look, and it's really going to not change anytime soon. So going back to mortgages, yes, Bank of England increased the rate by 0.5% up to 5%. Eerily, that's the same level as it was before the Lehman Brothers collapse in 2008. Inflation's at 8.7%. The thing is, these economic well-wishers and talking heads, Bank of England, that everyone seems surprised that this is the case. We shouldn't be surprised. This is going to be with us for quite a while, in all fairness. It is what it is. But this is why we can always take time to work with what's happening and to protect ourselves moving forward. This is why on the show and on our extra YouTube videos that we do talk about metals, we do talk about commodities. Are we in a commodity bull run? What can you do in property? Well, property is a bit of an odd place at the moment, but there's always opportunity. If your return on investment on a deal is higher than the interest rate, then it's still a deal, because it will mean that you're more than likely going to cash flow. Now, this is something I picked off of Rich Dad radio show recently, where they're not fussed if the interest rate's 10, 15%, because if the ROI is much higher than the interest rate, it doesn't matter. It's fantastic. It's a deal. And that's the way they look at it. And that's the way we should also look at it as well. So there is plenty of opportunity out there. Don't let the interest rates put you off. Even if you're looking to get started in property, don't let the interest rates put you off. The average interest rate in this country since 1694 has been about 5%. So where we are now is about right. If you look at where we are now to where we were about 2 years ago, then yes, that's quite a sudden increase, but it is what it is. We've just got to deal with it. We've got to work with it. And these podcasts, these videos, it's about calling BS on the government and the talking heads, because everyone seems surprised. We shouldn't be surprised by this. The last arguably 10, 15 years of government policy, when it comes down to energy, et cetera, has been poor, and everything's coming home to roost now. And as with most things, it's a black swan event, i.e. the pandemics, that have got us to this situation. And that's why we always need to prepare. And we always need to be looking at that risk management, risk reward management, et cetera, et cetera. So don't be too alarmed. Look, we'll probably be doing a lot more podcasts about this, because we have to. We have to share our message. We have to fight against the mainstream media narrative as well. And at the same time, reassure everyone that we've all got 24 hours in a day. We can all do things to help ourselves move forward. And, there's nothing to be too fearful about. Stress test your portfolio. Keep your eyes out for opportunity. There's going to be there is a lot of opportunity out there. There's going to be even more opportunity moving forward. And, we will get there. We will fight through this, and we will see you on the other side. It's just peaks and troughs, as it is with economic cycles. And at the moment, we're just going to go through a trough, and a big trough at that. But we will see what happens next time the Bank of England meet. We'll see what the inflation data is like. I'm a bit doom and gloom on this. I do think there's probably going to be a couple more rate rises, purely because, as we've always said, the Bank of England will continue to do it until the economy breaks. But these interest rate increases don't have an immediate effect on the economy per se. It takes about 12 to 18 months for these things to really filter through. So let's see what happens. As usual, please share the podcast with as many people as you can. If you're watching this on YouTube, press that notification bell button thing. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. There's a lot of information we need to pass out, and you sharing that information really helps us as well. And if you're getting into serviced accommodation, then check out that link as well. Until next time, we will see you in the next video.